Shalom and welcome to yet another episode in our ongoing series, Faith Journeys with God in the Land. I'm actually standing next to one of the largest stones of the Temple Mount built by Herod in what is called the Western Wall tunnels. Shalom and welcome to the Western Wall tunnels. Behind me is one of the largest stones that was placed here carefully by Herod the Great as he began the temple project in 20 BC. It's called the Master Course and it weighs hundreds of tons. It's almost the size of a bus. The question is, how in the world did they move this huge stone? So when we talk about this particular excavation, we are really amazed to see what has been done here. In fact, let's go into this area where a small theater, believe it or not, was found. And there it is right behind me, down below. And there it is. We'll walk down here and take a closer look. But taking you through an amazing part of this excavation of this Western Wall tunnel. And as we see, even behind me now, this is the retaining wall built by Herod that allowed Herod to expand the Temple Mount platform, doubling the size of the platform where people went on the temple, large enough to accommodate about 100,000 people. So here down below me again is this small theater, odeon it's called, and this is quite amazing and really surprising that they found this here. Look at all these stones. These are Herodian stones. Notice that you can see a border on every stone. And look how close each stone is to one another. And it's only about a ½ inch or 3/4 of an inch inset, if you will, one layer upon another. And this wall still goes down probably 50 feet here below me to bedrock. So the massive project of building the temple, and they really built it well. So when we talk about massive stones, I have to think of this passage in Mark 13 when actually the disciples are leaving the temple at the southern end. They turn around and make a comment saying, "Oh, what massive stones." And this is quite amazing. So when we even hear the words of Jesus in the early part of John, he talks about destroying this temple and rebuilding it in 3 days. Well, that's something that people would have heard and almost laughed at, because one guy says, "What do you mean? We've built this temple over the last 46 years." But of course, Jesus was referring to his death and resurrection to come. So this is quite amazing, and I think it's fascinating to talk about these ruins here that we find here in the Western Wall tunnel. There's a ritual bath or a mikveh that was used also. So when we talk about the massive temple, I like to think that in our faith journey we can actually talk more about what Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, that we are the temple. So when we are amazed and we stand in front of these massive stones, In fact, this was another one of these chambers. Now we're off the western wall, but look at how carefully this was built. I'd like to think that in our faith journey, we should really consider that we are the temple of God as the Holy Spirit dwells within us. And that's certainly the truth because, there's a big question, will a third temple be built? Of course, this was the second temple, although technically it was the expansion of Zerubbabel's temple back in about 1520 to 1516 BC. But Herod did a massive building project here. It took him decades. In fact, well after his death in 4 BC, the temple continued. It included the royal stoa, Solomon's porch mentioned in John 10 and Acts 3 and Acts 5, of course the holy chamber and the Holy of Holies. All these courts, the court of the Gentiles, court of the Israelites, court of the women, court of the priests. But the temple, physical temple, is not our focus in our faith journey. We are to be the spiritual temple, and that's really a high privilege and honor to serve as the temple of God as, again, God's Spirit indwells us. And as the temple, we are to reflect the beauty of Christ, the grace and goodness of Christ in all that we do and say. So here in this area called the Western Wall Tunnels, we not only stand amazed at the physical temple that Herod built, but we pause to remember that God calls us to be his temple as we walk with him. Be encouraged today with these words, and until next time, shalom.